For years, the mainstream view in robotics was blunt. Humanoid robots were a show. They could dance, jump, maybe do a backflip for a camera, then go right back behind the curtain. Real work was another story. Factory work is repetitive, fast, messy, and unforgiving. A machine does not get credit for looking human. It gets credit for surviving the shift. That old belief did not come from nowhere. The public had seen viral robot videos for years. Boston Dynamics became one of the biggest symbols of that era. The company was founded in 1992 as a spin-off from MIT. Atlas first appeared in 2013. By October 2022, Boston Dynamics unveiled an updated Atlas capable of advanced physical movement, including parkour. In 2023, new demonstrations showed more agility and better interaction with people. Those clips pulled huge attention. They were exciting. They were memorable. They also fed the idea that humanoids were still mostly a performance. Mark Rybert, founder of Boston Dynamics, described Atlas in direct, practical language. He said Atlas has the ability to interact with the world and navigate diverse environments, which makes it extremely useful in scenarios like disaster response. That matters because it points to the split that shaped the whole field. One side saw amazing motion. The other side asked a harder question. Can a humanoid do real work in a real place for real hours without the video cutting away? That question is where the story becomes less comfortable and more serious. Once a robot leaves the lab or demo floor, every weakness gets exposed. Heat builds up, parts wear down, sensors get dirty, tasks repeat thousands of times. Human workers do not slow down to help the robot keep up. In that setting, acrobatics mean very little. Endurance means everything. The common belief was simple. Humanoids were years away from practical work. The different view came from the machines themselves, not from a promise, not from a concept image, from robots doing jobs where output can be counted. That shift matters because the field has spent decades proving movement before proving usefulness. Atlas helped push movement forward. Boston Dynamics kept refining the robot through the 2020s. As of 2024, Atlas incorporated advanced machine learning algorithms that let it navigate diverse terrain and perform more complex tasks. Boston Dynamics also continued partnerships with industries interested in robotic automation. The company itself moved through major ownership changes, acquired by SoftBank Group in 2017, then acquired by Hyundai Motor Group in 2021. Even that timeline shows something important. Humanoid robotics stopped being just a research story. Big industrial owners moved in. Still, public excitement can hide a hard truth. A viral robot is not the same as a deployed robot. A machine that lands a backflip is not automatically ready for a warehouse, a construction site, or a welding line. That is the belief that needs to be challenged. The most accepted idea in humanoid robotics has been that motion is the headline. The stronger evidence says the real headline is reliability under routine pressure. And routine pressure is not glamorous. It is stairs, cables, dust, repeated grasping, path planning through clutter, and safe movement near people. It is the ability to manipulate objects over and over without losing position or breaking flow. It is the ability to recover when a surface shifts or a grip slips. In other words, the robot has to handle the boring parts. That is where nearly every machine gets judged. Atlas sits inside that test in a very visible way. It is one of the best-known humanoid robots in the world, and it became famous through public demonstrations of balance, athletic movement, and body control. That fame shaped public expectations. People saw a machine doing parkour and assumed the future had almost arrived. At the same time, critics saw those same clips and came to the opposite conclusion. They assumed all humanoid robotics was still theater. Both reactions miss the deeper point. Public demos are not fake. They are just incomplete. They show what a machine can do under chosen conditions. They do not show what a company can support day after day in an industrial setting. That gap between capability and deployment is where the next stage of the race is taking place. Boston Dynamics gives a useful lens for that change because its history is easy to track. Founded in 1992, Atlas released in 2013, new public breakthroughs in 2022 and 2023, ongoing refinement in 2024, ownership passing from SoftBank to Hyundai. The pattern is clear. The machine has moved from a pure research symbol toward a platform shaped by industrial interest. That does not mean the field is solved. It means the debate has changed. A few years ago, the question was whether a humanoid could move in a convincing way. Now the question is where these machines can be useful first. Disaster response is one answer already named by Mark Rybert. Logistics is another use mentioned in the research. Construction sites and other dangerous environments are also part of the conversation, especially where labor shortages and safety risks overlap. This is where fear starts to enter the story. Not science fiction fear. Work fear. The research notes point to ethical concerns about job displacement and to ongoing discussions about safety regulations as humanoid and autonomous robots move into workplaces and public settings. That concern is grounded in something very real. A useful humanoid is not just another gadget. It is a machine built to operate in spaces shaped around the human body. Doors, stairs, tools, shelving, ladders, handrails, carts, bins, and workstations already fit a human form. A robot that can use those spaces without a total rebuild changes the math. That is why Atlas matters far beyond its viral videos. It is not just a symbol of clever engineering. It is a test case for whether human-shaped machines can earn a place in the real economy. If they can, factories and logistics networks do not need to wait for fully redesigned environments. They can start adapting the systems they already have. The public usually notices the dramatic motion first. The bigger engineering story is control. Atlas has to sense the world, choose actions, keep balance, and handle objects, all while staying stable in changing conditions. As of 2024, Boston Dynamics said advanced machine learning algorithms are part of that effort. That phrase can sound abstract, so put it plainly. The robot is not just following a stiff script, it is using learned behavior to handle more complex movement and interaction. That matters because fixed automation has always been easier. Put a robotic arm behind a safety cage, give it one exact task, keep every object in the same place. That works well. A humanoid faces a much harder challenge. It must operate in spaces that are less controlled, where the path changes, obstacles appear, and the job may involve movement from one area to another. The reward is flexibility. The price is extreme technical difficulty. The old consensus said that difficulty would keep humanoids on the sidelines for a long time. The different perspective is that the field is no longer trying to prove one machine can do everything. It is trying to prove a machine can do enough useful tasks to justify being there. That is a lower bar than replacing all human labor, but it is still a very high bar. And it is a bar that can be measured. Look at where Atlas has been positioned. Navigation, object manipulation, human interaction, disaster response, logistics. Those are not random features. They point to the same goal. Build a machine that can enter human spaces and act with enough skill to be worth deploying. Boston Dynamics also carries unusual weight because of who owns it now. Hyundai Motor Group acquired the company in 2021. That ties a famous robotics developer to a major industrial manufacturer. Before that, SoftBank Group acquired Boston Dynamics in 2017. Those ownership changes show how much larger companies believe this field could become. The research notes estimate Boston Dynamics had a valuation over $1 billion after the SoftBank acquisition, though exact figures vary because of restructures after sales. Even with all of that momentum, there is still a trap in the public conversation. People often assume the hardest part of a humanoid is getting it to move like a person. That is only part of the challenge. The other part is making the whole system dependable enough for work. A robot can impress 1 million viewers and still fail the only test that counts in industry: repeat the task safely again and again, without constant rescue. That is why the next phase of this race will not be won by the flashiest clip. It will be won by the machine that can show up, operate predictably, and fit into existing workflows. The research notes say Boston Dynamics continues to refine Atlas and expand the range of tasks it can perform. That line matters more than any backflip. Expanding task range is the bridge from demonstration to deployment. There is also a reason the world reacts so strongly when a humanoid improves. The machine is familiar in shape, but unfamiliar in ability. A wheeled robot or a fixed arm looks like equipment. A humanoid looks like a worker. That creates both excitement and unease. It makes every step forward feel larger than it would in another kind of machine. In practical use, that human shape is not about drama. It is about access. A humanoid can, in theory, move through spaces built for people and use human-centered tools and layouts. That is why companies keep pushing on this form, even though it is hard, expensive, and slow to perfect. If it works, it could plug into the world as it already exists. The world is watching this closely because the stakes are easy to understand. If humanoids remain mostly demo machines, then the old consensus survives. They stay as brilliant examples of control, balance, and motion, but not as major workers. If they cross into reliable work, the whole meaning of automation changes. That does not make the path simple. Safety rules still need attention. The research specifically notes ongoing discussions about safety regulations as autonomous robots enter workplaces and public settings. And the job question is real. Experts have raised concerns about displacement in logistics and manufacturing. A machine that can navigate, manipulate objects, and interact with people could reach into many parts of the economy. Yet there is another side to that concern, also grounded in the research. Humanoid robots are seen as potential answers to labor shortages in dangerous environments such as construction sites. That does not erase the job fear, but it does explain why industry keeps investing. In jobs that are dirty, risky, or hard to staff, a capable humanoid has obvious appeal. So when people say a new American humanoid robot is making the world tremble, the real reason is not style. It is not just the viral image of a machine moving in a human way. It is the possibility that the field is pushing past spectacle and into work. Atlas stands near the center of that shift because it has spent years carrying the hopes, the hype, and the doubts of humanoid robotics. From MIT roots in 1992 to public breakthroughs across the 2020s, Atlas has been a marker of how fast the field can move and how hard real usefulness is to earn. It can navigate diverse terrain. It can perform acrobatic movement like backflips. It can interact with the world in ways that point toward disaster response and logistics. And in 2024, Boston Dynamics is still refining it, still pushing machine learning deeper into the system, still working with industry partners who want more than a demo. That is the point where the old story breaks apart. Humanoids are no longer easy to dismiss as stage tricks. They are also not finished products ready to take over every workplace. Both ideas are too simple. The truth is more tense than that. The engineering has advanced enough to force the question into the open. Not if these machines can get attention. They already can. The question is when they become routine. And once a humanoid becomes routine, the shock fades, but the impact grows. A machine that can work around people, move through human spaces, and handle physical tasks changes the shape of automation itself. That is why every new step from Atlas is watched so closely. Every demonstration is really a signal flare in a larger industrial race. For decades, the safe opinion was that useful humanoids were always far away. Atlas has not ended that debate. It has done something more unsettling. It has made the old timeline feel less secure. And that is enough to make the entire world pay attention.